What is going on, fight fans? So, with the passing of yesterday's main event, where Alex Pereira decapitated Yuri Prohaska, after decapitating Jamal Hill, after decapitating Prohaska the first time, he put a stamp on it the second time, but Alex has now sort of entered that point in his career where he kind of has that aura of invincibility, and it just kind of seems like he looks unstoppable. And it just kind of begs the question, who's going to beat this guy? So in today's video, I want to talk about the only men who I see beating Alex Pereira at 205 or at heavyweight. And I'm only going to talk about fights that, because I'm sure there's a lot of guys who can beat him, mainly in heavyweight. But just as a heads up, I'm mainly going to talk about fights that are likely to happen. Not fights where it's like this guy can beat him, but it's likely that fight's not going to happen anyway. But I'm going to get started with this list. So to start it off, Jan Blachowicz. I think Jan Blachowicz on his best night is Alex Pereira. One of his toughest challenges. I know that Jan kind of fought the worst version of Alex in his 205 debut, but he did better than Yuri and Jamal Hill against Alex Pereira. What makes Jan Blachowicz so difficult for Alex Pereira is he's one of the very few light heavyweights who can actually strike with Alex Pereira. Not many men can stand with Poatan, but Jan Blachowicz is, maybe arguably the best striker other than Alex in the light heavyweight division. And, he went toe-to-toe with Pereira, held his own on the feet. He mainly had to grapple to make it as close as it was, but even on the feet, it was competitive. I just think the issue right now for Jan would just be his age and his inactivity. And, he's coming off a bad shoulder injury right now, recovering from that. So I don't know if Jan is going to be in his prime anymore. I don't know if he's going to be the same Jan Blachowicz. Pandemic Jan was peak Jan, and that version of Jan without altitude could beat Alex Pereira. He could strike with him. He might even be able to knock him out if he doesn't gas out, if it's at sea level. But right now, I don't know where Jan is at or how good he's going to be when he comes back. So that's why I have Jan low on this list. He's the last on this list, but he could do it. If he comes back and he's still in form, if he's still as good as he was when he was the champion, he could win. It's just the issue is Jan has just been very inconsistent with his performances ever since losing to Glover. So yeah, but I do think he does have a good fighting chance. Not to mention, he has good defense on the feet, and he also does have a pretty solid chin to take that power of Alex Pereira. Now, next up on this list, Israel, the last stylebender, Adesanya. I don't know if he gets it done now in a trilogy. Especially because right now I don't know where Izzy's at in his head because, he's coming off a bad loss to Sean Strickland. And I think it's really going to come down to how his fight with Duplessis plays out. If he comes back rejuvenated like the Adesanya of old and smokes Dricus Duplessis and this trilogy with Alex is in conversation, I like his chances against Pereira. Simply because even though he's behind in the series, he's down 3-1 against Alex Pereira, the fact of the matter is he's the best striker that Alex has ever fought. Him and Pereira, they have experience with each other, having fought twice in kickboxing, twice in MMA. And Israel Adesanya is the only one, other than Jan Blachowicz, who can actually strike with Alex. And he doesn't even need grappling to win. I know he tried to grapple a lot in the first fight, but he beat him on the feet in their first kickboxing fight that was very close. Went to Pereira, but I thought Izzy won that one. Israel Adesanya was winning the second fight in kickboxing until he wasn't. And he was winning the first fight in MMA until he wasn't. And then he finally got him. He knocked him out in that second fight in MMA. But Israel Adesanya, not only is he one of the only guys who can actually stand with Poatan, who understands how to strike with Poatan, but he's one of the few guys who can actually knock Pereira out. You know, despite having little power compared to these big 205ers, Israel Adesanya, no one else has the speed or the precision that Israel Adesanya does. Izzy has rocked Alex Pereira as many times as he has. I mean, he's came close to knocking him out in the second kickboxing fight, in the first MMA fight, and he actually did knock him out in the second MMA fight. And every single fight that Alex Pereira had with Israel Adesanya was a tough test, was a tough matchup. Alex Pereira had to overcome losing rounds in order to have it in him to come back and stop Israel Adesanya. But if Israel Adesanya, if he can move up and actually prepare accordingly this time and puts on size and bulks up, I like his chances up against Alex Pereira. I mean, I do think right now Pereira would win a trilogy at 205, just because at 205 he's more dangerous. But based off the fights we've seen between these two and the fact that he was able to knock him out before, the fact that Alex Pereira always had a hard time connecting that left hook on Israel Adesanya. Like, Israel Adesanya is one of the few guys who is good at not falling into that left hook because of his distance management. Like Alex Pereira at UFC 281, he had to chase Izzy down for 5 rounds to finally land that left hook. Also, he had to break him down with kicks to the legs and body shots to slow him down, to finally slow down his movement, trap him against the cage. But Izzy was able to adjust in that next fight and beat him. So I don't know. I think Israel Adesanya just stylistically is one of Alex Pereira's hardest matchups across any weight class. And no matter how many times these two fight, Izzy will always have a good chance at beating him, even if Alex is stylistically better. Izzy is a great challenge for Poatan. And next up, Magomed Ankalaev. Magomed Ankalaev stylistically has one of the best chances at 205, other than Jan Blachowicz, to beat Alex Pereira, because right now he may be the best wrestler we have in the 205 division. He's mainly a striker, but he does have that wrestling game, and we did see him dominate Jan in the last 2 rounds with the wrestling. And if he takes a wrestling heavy approach against Alex Pereira, if he's smart, and I know he's talking about striking with him, wanting to knock him out, but if he's just bluffing and goes out there and commits to a wrestling heavy game plan, I think he could potentially wear Alex Pereira out in those early rounds, force him to constantly defend takedowns and clinch, and then he can get Pereira to slow down, and then he can start to dominate, grind him out in the late rounds, and could potentially win a decision. But Magomed Ankalaev is good, man. People try to discount how good he is because of the anti-Dagestani bias, but he's one of the best guys in this weight class, and he's the last hope. He's the last hope for someone beating Alex at 205, because I know Jan's on the list. I don't think he's going to do it because of age, and he's just looking worse and worse each fight. So yeah, and then if Izzy moves up, he has a chance, but this guy, Magomed, at 205 is the guy who I could see taking that belt from Alex. Like, if it's not him, it's no one. It's him or no one. And now we're going to move up a division. Tom Aspinall. I think Tom takes this one all day because Tom Aspinall is one of the best strikers at 205, or not 205, at heavyweight, but he is also very well-rounded. He has the advantage of being able to wrestle Alex Pereira, and he's very slick not only with his stand-up and his defense, but even his takedowns. The way he's able to set up his takedowns, his double legs. I don't think Pereira would be able to stop the wrestling of Tom Aspinall just because he'd be at a size disadvantage. Aspinall's bigger, and with that size of Tom Aspinall, it would help him be able to kind of weight bully Alex Pereira. And once they get to the ground, Aspinall's jiu-jitsu advantage is like night and day, levels ahead of Alex Pereira. So I think he takes him down and he submits him. But even on the feet, he could throw Pereira off with that speed. He can maybe catch him the way Israel Adesanya did, and he might be able to knock him out. And then number one, Jon Bones Jones. Without a doubt, it's a no-brainer for me. Jon Jones would win against Alex Pereira just because he's the greatest of all time. And he just has so much experience throughout the years as a dominant champion. And I don't see how Alex beats him unless he can keep it standing, or unless Jon chooses to strike with him, then yeah, Alex would probably knock him out. But I think Jon Jones on the feet could hold his own. He's got very underrated distance management. I think he'd make Alex struggle to find that left hook the way Adesanya's been able to. And I think if he wants to wrestle, which if he would wrestle if he's smart, I don't think Poatan could really do anything about it. I mean, this fight, there's really no point giving my most technical accurate breakdown for this matchup. I'm going to be very vague with this one because it's just kind of obvious Jon would win. He's bigger, and he can wrestle him. And, once the fight hits the mat, it's all Jon Jones. I think he would take down Alex Pereira and drown him. And I think while they're standing, I think he could frustrate him on the feet just enough, keep him at bay, hand trap him, fight the hands to disrupt that left hook, stomp the knees, and then get him in the clinch, get him down, and then kind of do him like he did Ciryl Gane. But for honorable mentions, because like I said, there's other heavyweights who can beat Pereira, but these matchups clearly aren't going to happen. But these are guys at heavyweight who also, I think, may beat Pereira. Ciryl Gane, because he's, arguably the best striker in the heavyweight division. And on the feet, I think he could take Pereira and give him problems because he's got such good footwork, good head movement. He's just very slippery on the feet and very hard to hit clean. Francis Ngannou couldn't land on him. I mean, I know Tai Tuivasa dropped him against the cage with an overhand, which is very worrisome. I'm not saying Pereira cannot KO this guy. He could. But I do think that Ciryl Gane could frustrate him with his defense. And I think he could outstrike Alex Pereira. If Israel Adesanya could outstrike him before eventually getting caught, I do think that Ciryl Gane could also outstrike him. And Ciryl Gane also can grapple too. I mean, his grappling isn't as good as Aspinall's, but if he feels the threat on the feet against Pereira is that severe, I could see him going out there, taking a grappling heavy approach against Pereira. And he does have a good submission game as well, so I would not rule out the possibility of him submitting Alex. And then Curtis Blades, yeah, I think Blades wins. He's too big, wrestling too good, and I don't think he's that stupid to strike with Alex Pereira. And then Jailton Almeida, same thing. He's known for wrestling the moment the fight starts, and the moment the fight hits the mat, I think Jailton Almeida would submit Pereira. But with that being said, that's it for my list of people who I do think beat Alex Pereira. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and share this video. And let me know what you guys think in the comments. Peace.